Hi everybody. Well, right here I have something called iPhone 4, and this was actually the first cell phone I used. That was an iPhone. I had an Android before, and it worked for the most part. I was able to get my email. I was able to surf the internet, watch YouTube videos. Although this one here is when I went to the iOS, everything just worked. So I picked this up on eBay for I think $12. And the battery life is pretty good on it. The nice thing about this, changing the batteries on this one isn't too difficult in comparison to the 5S, the SE that I did the other day, and you can go watch that video. 2.5 hours of my life to change the battery. This one here has two little screws. You pull that out, you slide this little glass, and then basically the battery's there. You connect a few things, and you can probably get done in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So, but the battery life seems to be decent on this, and I always turn off everything that I don't need and turn the screen down, pretty low. But I was able to download an old version of GarageBand, an old version of iMovie, Facebook, Instagram app, YouTube. Watched a couple of YouTube videos on this thing. Works fine. Obviously, the camera is a little lacking by today's standards and whatnot. But the nice thing about it, it's pretty zippy. I don't think anybody's going to use this as a phone today, but you could. You could use this as a cell phone, and it is kind of nice to have something that fits in one hand. And I really wish Apple would go back to a smaller phone for those like us, like me, that likes a smaller phone. And you think about this. I remember when I bought this on a Christmas special for $100 at Radio Shack, and that was my first iPhone. And I plugged it in. It was like, oh, it's amazing. I finally got an iPhone, and I think I forgot what the OS was back then. This is a 7, and the top side is 7 on here. This is 8 gigs of data. 8 gigs of space. So you can really go through space a lot really quickly. But if you use this thing as an MP3 player, if you have a Bluetooth in your car and don't want to fill up your current phone with full of music, you could do that. And there's definitely some life on these phones here, and like I showed a minute ago, you can get you some devices like this here and make it basically a music recording system for a few bucks. So this was $12. I think this was 10 or 12 bucks for $25. You got you an okay audio system that you can carry around, and there's other things as well that you can use for that 30 pin. If you remember the 30 pin, and I really wish Apple didn't go with a 30 pin, one with like the Android type connectors. But of course, Apple does their own thing, and now they got other connectors, of course, as well. But I just like the design. It's a cool looking design for this phone, and I really wish in some aspects that Apple would listen to their customers. And I like the button there. I like having it where I can hold it in one hand. It fits in a pocket very easily. So there's a lot of, sometimes when you go forward, you're really kind of going backwards, because this functionality to me was a lot more functional than a bigger phone, and doesn't have a button on it that I've been using forever. So anyways, if you want to kind of experiment with old phones, I like gadgets, and it's kind of cool to go back in time a little bit. And again, this was my first iPhone. It was the iPhone 4, and I used it for a lot. So first off, I had the iPhone 4, then I was riding my bicycle, I dropped it, cracked the screen, I went to a 4S, then from the 4S I went to a 5S, and then from the 5S I went to the iPhone SE, and that's the current phone I'm using, and it's still a small one. Yeah, I think if I have to go to another phone, I'll probably go to a 6S, because I still like having the headphone jack for whatever reason. I use it for lavs, and if my Bluetooth headphones don't work, it just works. So anyways, it's kind of cool to go back and play around with this old technology, and there's a lot of old apps that I like that didn't get transferred over to the 10 or 11, and a couple of them just don't work on anything else. But I played around with GarageBand. It's kind of fun. iMovie is kind of fun to play around with it. The only problem is the space on here is only 8 gigs. But if you only put a few applications on here, then that's fine. Oh, some games that they haven't transferred over. So if you're into gaming, you can play some old games on this. So there's still some life to this iPhone 4. And if you'd like to try one out, I'm sure you can find one on eBay for definitely under $20 range. As always, rock and roll, of course, it does compute. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to my channel because that would totally compute. Yeah, where else are you going to learn about using old iPhones? Yeah, here, compute that.